Hello, Lisa here and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my weekly deck reviews. This has got to be probably my favorite video I make all week long. And I mean, take that with a grain of salt because I make a lot of videos I really enjoy. But I love coming to you each week to tell you just how I enjoyed working with the decks that I've been working with over the past week, and it's always a fun moment for me too because this marks the moment that I transitioned from last week's decks to next week's decks. Last week's, this week's, something like that. Anyways, I'm gonna get right into it because I have things to say. So this week I have actually been working with, as my primary tarot deck, the Heartful Spirits Tarot. So I keep it in this really pretty holographic Peggy bag. The Heartful Spirits Tarot is an independent deck by Trisha, Leigh, Shufet. This is what the guidebook looks like. I'll let that camera focus on that. I will say I am not a fan of this little pamphlet, little white book. The layout just kind of bothers me because you get the black lines around the pages, and the paper feels a little bit like, it doesn't feel like copy paper, but it's I don't know, there's something about it that just doesn't feel awesome, which I noticed right away when I first started working with it. But basically what is in this little white book are a little very short expansion to the actual keywords which are on the cards themselves. So I pretty much didn't use this at all. But the deck did come with a little art card, which I have been using inside of my traveler's notebook. Oh, that was a terrible view. Let me just pull the card out. So in my little dashboard, so it's got a moon on one side, really cute, and a sort of almost sleepy looking sun on the other side. This I suppose could also be the full moon and the crescent moon. But I really like the crescent moon image. It's just really sweet, and I keep it in my traveler's notebook, so that's a fun little addition that comes in this deck. It may have had a divinatory purpose, but I snagged it. Now, that being said, I could not figure out with this deck, this is what the backs look like, I could not figure out how I wanted to use this deck because there are upright and reversed keywords. Okay, I pointed to them wrong. Upright and reversed keywords on every card, and I actually really do like the keywords. I found them to be useful keywords that lined up with how I view the cards typically, and they gave me something to kind of chew on throughout the day. But twice this week I shuffled it where I shuffled in reversals and then changed my mind afterwards and resorted them out uprights. Now for context, I don't typically read with reversals, so the fact that this tempted me to read with reversals is interesting, and I do think it's because having that reversed keyword. And I did enjoy working with the Deck of the Bastard that way with the reversals, but the artwork on this one is so sweet that I think I just wanted to see it upright. It's just better for photos, and I don't know. So I ended up reshuffling it upright. I really like this death card. I will say that this art, one of the things that's really nice about this art is that it is faceless and it is genderless. It's really easy because these figures are so nondescript to sort of see yourself, oh look at this hermit, to sort of see yourself in any of these scenes or as any of these characters. I don't know what it is about chariots and flying carpets, but I really enjoy that imagery. The imagery itself, while simple, is also very Rider-Waite-Smith for the most part. I really liked this Nine of Coins because normally we see a figure who's sort of in a garden and her abundance is around her. And what I liked about this, and I don't know, this is still a female to me even though it's completely genderless. Well, I guess the dress, but what I like about this is that this figure has the abundance within her. The 9 pentacles are lined up inside of herself, which I really liked that depiction. And so a few of these really go in an interesting way, but most of them are very Rider-Waite-Smith. This is a cool depiction of the world. I see that as sort of a completion of a journey. This Hierophant seems very nurturing, which is not how we typically see the Hierophant. This is a very sweet deck. I will say that as far as my particular collection goes, I am enjoying the heck out of this deck, but it's definitely a middle of the pack kind of deck for me. It's one that I think I will enjoy pulling out for romance readings or for readings where I'm looking at relationship, because the deck is pretty true to its name, the name Heartful Spirits, because you really do feel like these are the essence of humanity, of like love and relating to other people. This is the Seven of Swords, which is really interesting. We actually have the figure sort of caged. I do have one complaint about this card. So this is the Five of Cups, Five of Hearts. Is it five? Yeah, Five of Cups. And there are actually keywords down at the bottom of this deck. I don't know if the light will help you to see them there. But a couple of times I've almost pulled this out as an extra art card because the keywords are black and that background on this image is very, very dark at the bottom. And so that's a little unfortunate because it's really, really hard to see it. But again, it does pull you into the artwork itself. And I do like that the font on these cards it's sort of thematically appropriate for the deck. Like it feels a little bit handwritten. It's not, it's just a font, but it feels a little bit handwritten, and the keywords are small and would be easy to ignore, I think, if you're somebody who doesn't particularly like working with keywords. But I did really, really enjoy this. I think it's it kind of falls into a similar category as my Mons Tarot, in the sense that these characters, you know, are not humanistic exactly. Human exactly? I don't know what it is I'm trying to say, but there's something about that. I do love this Sun card. Oh, it was a solid performer for me this week. It read fine. I won't hesitate to reach for this deck, and I'm definitely very grateful to have it in my collection, but it is not one that's like gonna really, really stand out as like the one that I think I'm gonna feel like I need in a given moment. I hope that that makes sense. So really enjoyed, definitely recommend. If this artwork is speaking to you, if you like the idea of the upright and reversed keywords, look at this Queen of Cups, she's so beautiful. Or if this, expansiveness of this artwork. I've noticed that it's nice to have decks in your collection if you don't already, and if you enjoy having multiple decks. It's nice to have decks in your collection that allow space for interpretation, that are a little bit less, that have some openness to them. I don't know how to describe it. So decks like the Wild Unknown, which didn't resonate with me, or the Naked Heart Tarot, which does resonate with me, and this deck, they leave a little bit of room. You know, I don't know how else to describe that. Hopefully y'all will know what I mean when I say that. But really enjoyed working with this, and I'm happy to have it middle of the pack for me. Okay, so Oracle deck I have been working with this week is a favorite. It did seem sometimes a little bit jarring next to Heartful Spirits because this artwork is so vivid and stunning. This is the Oracle of the Unicorns. Again, I forgot to bring the guidebook, but I don't use the guidebook with this deck because there's so many words on the cards themselves, which is something that I actually enjoy because, well, lazy. At any rate, what I like about this deck, I love the high gloss and the borderless images. I feel like this deck really just, the artwork just feels really vivid. This is a collaborative art deck, so the deck art is by multiple artists, and a lot of this deck has been out in the world, or a lot of this art has been out in the world for a while. Like this card, for example, Compassion, I actually have, can I show you? Yes, I can show you. This is actually my decal on the back of my phone, which I've had for years, so it's been around for a while. It's not exclusive to the deck, but I find that I love unicorns for starters, but I just find that it's so vivid. And when I saw walkthroughs of this deck online, I was not very drawn to it, actually. I know there's like some reflection, but that's the way it goes. But I keep showing you the same images. There we go. Is that polarity? Yeah, polarity. But when you hold it in person, to me, it almost feels like you're holding photographs of unicorns. I know that sounds so cheesy, but I really, really love it. And I do think the messages in this deck are really, really wonderful. This is like a solid mass market oracle for me, and I just really enjoy it. The backings look like this. And I have edged this in rainbow colors. Let's see if it'll focus. There we go. I don't know how well they're showing up, but they're basically colors that I pulled that I matched to this Aurora Borealis. So there's a lot of greens, and there's some yellow, and there's a little bit of pink as well in the edge. And it was one of my favorite edgings for a very long time, like still is, but I've done other pretty ones too since then. I think this was my first multicolored edging I ever did. Love this. I keep it in, of course, a Peggy bag. Now I also this week continued to work with my runes, and I have been really enjoying pulling these into my daily draw practice. I only have this one set of Elder Futhark runes. I've really been enjoying working with them. And because I am working with these, I am still working with my rune learning cards. They're like a flashcard kind of thing with the meanings on the back. I don't have a rune book, so this is the closest I have come. I think I'm going to continue to use these in my daily draw practice. It's a really simple way for me to get comfortable with runes, and since I don't have a bazillion rune sets to get to know and they're not all different or anything, I feel like using this in daily draws for a while until I start to know them a bit better will be a really useful practice. And I love the way that they kind of add a little context to my daily draws and just give me a little more to work with. I have done a couple of 3 rune draws, but mostly I'm just using 1 rune a day and like looking at that energy and how does that energy show up for me throughout the day. So I've really been enjoying that. I'm going to continue to use these next week. So I'm setting those into next week's pile. So the spread cloth that I used this week was super fun with the decks that I was working with, and it is this really playful like rainbow unicorn goodness. You guys know, and if you don't know, well, I'll tell you. All of my all of my deck bags, which you see hanging up behind me, and all of my reading cloths, pretty much anything fabric that you see in this space, actually my quilt, everything is made by my wife Peggy. Her Etsy shop link is always down below. I think I used the back of the reading cloth like once this week. Mostly I used this front because it's super cute. So that is what I was working with last week. Let me tell you about what I'm going to be working with next week because it's a bit of a journey. So first of all, the tarot deck that I'm going to be working with is currently in this bag. I juggled a couple of my bags around because this bag just felt perfect for this particular deck. But I am going to be working with the Guardian Angel Tarot by Radleigh Valentine. This used to be a Doreen Virtue and Radleigh Valentine deck, but Doreen Virtue is no longer associated with this deck. It is now only under Radleigh Valentine's name. My understanding is that Radleigh had done the majority of the guidebook for this deck already, so I feel like that seems appropriate. I have to say, you guys, this deck has been such a journey for me because I have been drawn to this deck off and on for quite a while. In fact, I remember when I've always had sort of a viscerally not awesome reaction to angels and guardian angels and decks like that and oracle decks like that and all that kind of thing. But a couple things happened. One, working with Benabel Wen's Spirit Keepers Tarot has shifted my view of angels a bit. And so has working with the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. Both of those started to kind of help me shift my line of thinking, my assumptions about working with angel energy. So every time I would see somebody talk about this deck, it would just kind of grab me. And I don't know what it is about this one specifically. I do have a couple of ideas actually, but these cards actually have a ton of text on them. So each card has like this kind of vintage image at the top and then all this text at the bottom. But the real kicker, the thing that pushed me over the edge with this deck, this is what the backs look like, was watching Dawn Michelle at Boho Tarot's modification of this deck, which I think I watched that video like 4 or 5 times, possibly more. I think I admitted to 4, but it may have been more often than that. Because, hold on. Sorry, but I'm thirsty and it's summer. But what she did was she trimmed this deck very carefully with a guillotine trimmer. She trimmed all of the gilding off and then rounded the corners of the large corner rounder, which as you can see, I have also done, and then used pastel colors to re-edge the deck so that it matched. And I just went gaga for the way that the deck looked when it was finished and how soft and pretty and gentle it looked. I was all in. So Hay House had a sale in the US where you could get a lot of their oracle and tarot decks for like $9 to $11, something like that. I think I paid $11 for this deck with free shipping. I could not believe it. Anyway, because I bought 2 decks. I got a Notes from the Universe oracle deck as well. I babble. Anyway, I bought the deck and then I bought pastel ink pads and a fresh guillotine trimmer and I recreated the mod. So this is what it looks like finished, and you can see the cards actually all clumped up in their suits if you look on my Instagram where I posted some pictures, but the effect is so soft and pretty. I have read through this entire deck. I did as soon as I got it, and I have to say I really, really love the messages on the cards. They're very, very well done. The messages match the meanings of the cards pretty beautifully. Sometimes they get a little predictive in ways that feel a little bit fortune-tellery, but for the most part, they just feel very nurturing, very gentle. I should show you a couple more. Anyway, I've been really excited to work with it for a whole week ever since I did the mod. I will also say that because, like Don Michelle, I used measurements, this is the smoothest, most even trim job that I have ever done on a deck, and I've trimmed a lot, so it feels almost as smooth as when it was brand new. I did trim it a little off center. I can notice, I don't know if you can notice, but it's a little bit closer on this side than it is on this side, so I took a little more off this side by mistake, but I'm fine with that. To be honest, I don't look at the imagery all that much so far, so we'll see how I do over the week, but I'm really excited to work with this deck. It just feels to me like a hug in a deck, and I haven't actually said that, I don't think. Mons Tarot is very much my soul deck, but this feels like, it really does feel like a hug, and that's the kind of thing that everybody seems to keep saying about this deck. So we'll see if that holds true, and if it does actually provide me good insight throughout the week. I'm excited to see how it really performs. The guidebook seems, I've got a dog derping over here beside me. The guidebook seems good. It seems good. So we will see. I would like to try it with both daily draws and a larger spread, at least one throughout the week, to see. I do suspect that this might be like a single card pull kind of tarot deck. So we'll see. I'm really excited. I've said that a bunch of times now. I'm sure you believe me, but I think it's just one that surprised me. So we'll see if it holds up. I keep saying that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna move on now. I'm gonna say something different, I swear. Okay, so that's the tarot deck I'll be working with. The Oracle deck is kind of part of the same journey. Kind of semi-related. So there's a book that has been stalking me, sort of. I've been hearing a lot of different people talk about this book, people who I feel like have had similar practices as me spiritually, similar beliefs as me spiritually, things like that. Just people on the similar wavelength have been loving this Mary Magdalene Revealed by Megan Watterson. So I finally picked up a copy of this. I'm actually really excited to dive in and just sort of open myself up to what has been blowing people's minds about this book. And I also got the Divine Feminine Oracle by the same author. The artwork in the Divine Feminine Oracle is by Lisbeth Cheever Gesseman, but the author is Megan Watterson, so the same author as who put this book out. I'm hoping to dive into this book this week as well as the Oracle, but we'll see how time goes. I'm on vacation, so I'm off work this week, but we shall see. This comes in a sturdy 2-piece box. What originally turned me off of this deck isn't turning me off of this deck anymore, which is what's really interesting, and that is that there are divine feminine archetypes from lots of different paths. So we have Mary Magdalene and Mary of Nazareth in here, but we also have Catherine Labour, the patroness of miraculous healing. We have Mio Shan, the Princess of Mercy. There seems to be quite a cultural white buffalo woman. There's quite a cultural diversity in here. Francesca. And my initial thinking on this was, well, I have goddess decks, and this isn't quite a goddess deck. This is more divine feminine, as it says, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that. So we will see how this reads and works next to the Guardian Angel Tarot. I didn't pick these two to go together for like visual reasons. I definitely picked them for the theme of my week, which is sort of diving into this sort of area of spiritual exploration that is new to me, and these both feel new in the same kind of way. So I will let you know how these work out. And I picked to go along with them a reading cloth that Peggy embroidered for me, and it has this really lovely goddess embroidery in the center on this side, and then this side is just sort of this like, feels like a Victorian or vintage I feel like it's upside down that way. A Victorian or vintage sort of floral design. So I think that'll look really nice behind those cards. We'll see how it all goes. I don't know if I'll actually like the way those look visually next to each other, but I'm kind of okay with that because for me it's more about the energy of the two decks and how they play. So we will see. But that is what I'm going to be working with. I'll let you guys know how it all pans out next weekend. And until then, I hope you have a really wonderful day, evening, afternoon, wherever you might be. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Do all of that fun stuff. And I'll see you all again real soon.